Okay, so in 2010, two guys, David, who was Skype's first employee, and Christo launched TransferWise. It was a great startup for global money transfers and very successful at the time. Now let's fast forward 5 years. It's 2015. Another two guys, Nick and Vlad, started Revolut in London with a similar business model to TransferWise, but they did something smart a couple of years after that. They started accepting crypto payments. Now, that was in 2017 when Bitcoin was priced at $2,000 and it wasn't that trending. On the other hand, TransferWise renamed themselves to Wise and till today rejects cryptocurrencies with all sorts of payments. Now let's fast forward to our current days and see how much both companies made in terms of revenue. Last year, in 2022, TransferWise made around $690 million, while Revolut made close to $1 billion. I've recently spoken to a Wise employee and she told me that they're terrified of Revolut, even though Wise started 5 years earlier than that and they had what people call the first mover's advantage. But Revolut did some smart business decisions along the way which led them to where they are today. But I am a business consultant, so when I hear that Revolut raised $1.8 million in their seed funding using their original pitch deck, I am very interested to see it and analyze it. So that's what we're gonna do right now. All right, let's do Revolut. Yeah. PDF, and let's check it out. All right, so they start with a cover slide, very basic, personal money cloud, Revolut, and Nick's information and contact information. Very basic if you ask me. Then they start pitching the problem, and here's where it's interesting. Back then, they were competing with banks, which was quite an established system. So that's why I am sure they went into a lot of regulatory problems when they're launching their product. They say here that banks are expensive and other methods of sending money are inconvenient and credit cards are sneaky per se. So they're waiting for this industry to be disrupted, and this is where they're swooping in. Then they immediately start pitching their market size. Now, their market size is in currency transactions, in money transfers, in general payments of, things like I'm shopping at Starbucks and I want to buy something. So it's quite a large market size. That's why they a little bit simplified it here to the total addressable market, SAM and so on. So the TAM being 1.4 trillion cross-currency transactions, and then loss due to fees and spread is 60 billion, and then travelers and expat is 1.5 billion. So their initial focus is the UK market because this is where they launched. The UK is the initial target market with 3 billion market size and 60 million travelers. The UK is a travel destination, so it kind of makes sense. Then they started looking at the solution. Now the solution back then was very simple. You can exchange currencies, you can send to your friends, and you can spend money through your wallet or whatsoever. And there is a 1-minute explanatory video. Of course, we can find this video, or I can find this video right now because Revolut.com changed. The interesting part is if you look at their business model right now, they're totally different. You can do a lot of things with Revolut. I personally was subscribing to a merchant account where I can just use it as Stripe. So now it competes with Stripe. Back then, they weren't thinking of any of that. Business model slide, freemium and viral, which of course nowadays also changed a little bit. So the free currency exchange of money transfers up to $500 and you can use it until you top up 1,000. I mean, not dollars, sorry, British pounds. But this was, again, such a long time ago. Nowadays, they don't do that. They do a lot of different products. And they say here, if you need more invite friends, you have to choose one of the pricing plans. Now you don't have to do that. You don't have to subscribe in order to invite other friends. And finally, they say download the app, receive money instantly, and get rewarded, which was some sort of marketing promotion or something so that they would spread Revolut as much as possible. Just download it and you get a price. I think it's still operational till this day, but maybe in a different form. I'm not sure of that. But that was their business model. So in terms of marketing, they initially target London or the UK in general. So they say we initially target the London tech city with 80,000 members through startup communities. People who are in Silicon Valley who would want to support a new product. They were called early adopters in this case. And this was the initial target segment, and this is where they wanted to start with their base. And then they would expand to events, partnerships, and hacks, which I don't know what it is, and I don't know why they put question mark and said top secret, but they would probably discuss it more with the person who would read the deck or the investor. And I would say it would be probably some other, I wouldn't say governmental institute, but something that has to do with money transfers or banking, something relevant to this that they couldn't actually just put it in the pitch deck. I'm not sure that, maybe it's something else, but that's in terms of their marketing. The competition slide is my favorite because they put use cases, and that is something I like. Of course, they had to tailor it to Revolut, but still, this was showing that there are problems with other competitors like World Remit and so on. So they say, I go to the US, cash is inconvenient, cards are costly. Revolut can solve that. We swap, yes, but the other is not. So these sort of example of use cases make it a lot better. I love the graph, of course, of the use cases versus the cost effectiveness, but sometimes alone it's not enough. And that's why they put this example of use cases, which is something, I mean, they took both of the best of both worlds. Some slides would just do the table and others would just do the chart. Some would do that and some would do that, but they just took both, which is something that I like. They then showcase their unique selling point: interbank rates, freemium model, viral features, easy to use, own infrastructure, and patent pending. It's just showcasing, you know what, we're even better. Not just, it's a story, you know, you see it's a story. So they said, these are our competitors and this is what we can do that they can't. And then they start saying, also, this is why we're better. And then they pitch all the ideas. So it's good in terms of the flow of a story so far. Traction, 4.8 thousand pre-product subscribers within 1 month. That back then was interesting. Of course, I'm still a little bit surprised, if I'm being honest, that with this traction, 4.8 thousand pre-product subscribers, 9 deals with MasterCard, like MasterCard, and the finalist at an incubator in Europe, with this sort of traction that they raised $1.8 million, it's a little bit shocking to me. But of course, if they're in an incubator and if they're like VCs check them out all the time and they do have a strong team and they did have a very good product, it kind of makes sense the more you look at it. And look at where they are today. So it was the best thing that someone took a bet on these people. This is a little bit entertaining. So these are the projections that they had for the first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year. And they said we needed 1.5 million British pounds to make it happen, which they raised. But what's interesting is that their revenue was saying that they are intending to have 17 million pounds by the fifth year. Interestingly, what actually happened is that they had by the fifth year, if they started 2016 exactly, so they had around 260 million instead of this number. Crazy. So when you say you're going to raise 1.5 million British pounds to make your projections happen, it kind of makes sense that you would say next what you're going to use these funds for exactly. So they say that right now. They say they're going to build a team of 3 developers, designer, and marketeer. Interestingly, nowadays they have over 6,000 employees. Just crazy. And that they would fund the freemium model to 60,000 monthly active users, prepare the model for a big Series A round. So that's what they're going to use the funds for. It's just a brief, you know. I think this whole part and a lot of the parts of this deck is just to open a conversation with the investor. And then the investor would ask questions and so on. So it's not very thorough. It's more of a brief pitch deck. All right, so as a conclusion, I would bet that this pitch deck is inspired from the Airbnb pitch deck because they're both very simple. But the market loved the product, and that's why they are where they are today. By the way, they're interested in turning Revolut into a super app, similar to what Elon Musk is doing with Twitter. So we'll see how that goes. But in all cases, I hope you enjoyed this analysis. I do a lot of those analyses, like the Tesla pitch deck, the FTX pitch deck, Theranos. They're all very exciting if you're into that, and you don't want to miss it. So for that, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, but most importantly, have a fantastic day.